This is Tom Walsh, the 2017 world champion in shot put and one of the best athletes in the world. In this video, he demonstrates a crucial quality for achieving excellence in sports: the lightning-fast ability to understand where the center of body mass is located relative to a dynamic point of support. This skill is not just impressive, it also presents a complex challenge for the brain, ultimately enabling athletes to move more efficiently and with greater precision. For comparison, this is the best that artificial intelligence has achieved so far. Since the brain is constantly calculating the position of the body's center of mass, it only takes a brief moment of disconnection from these coordinates for a person to lose balance and collapse to the ground. This is why the most dangerous punch is the one you don't see coming. In addition to a keen sense of body awareness and spatial orientation, understanding how to position and shift the center of mass is essential for enhancing performance. In the 1960s, Dick Fosbury, an engineering student, applied his understanding of physics to the high jump. He noticed that the traditional straddle technique had significant limitations, as jumpers had to lift their center of mass above the bar. Fosbury realized that by going over the bar backward and arching his back, he could keep his center of mass below the bar, allowing him to jump approximately 10 centimeters higher with the same effort. Thus, he outsmarted his much stronger competitors at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico. Surprisingly, not all high jumpers immediately recognized the advantages of the new technique. Even a decade later, some still clung to the old method, including the exceptionally talented Soviet high jumper Vladimir Yushchenko, who cleared the bar at 2.35 meters. This was the last world record set using the straddle technique. One can only speculate how high he might have jumped with the Fosbury flop. Humans reached the limit of their physical capabilities a long time ago. A high-performing athlete today shares similar physical characteristics with an athlete from 50 years ago, showing no significant increase in strength or endurance. However, athletes continue to improve. This is largely due to the boundless potential of the brain, which enables the continuous development of precision and efficiency in movement, even as physical abilities have plateaued.
I was taught from a very early age that sports are 90% mental and 10% physical.
Not long ago, it was commonly understood that athletes should stay very low when getting out of the blocks. However, this approach caused even the elite athletes to direct force well above the center of mass. In recent years, many sprinters have turned to a new technique that emphasizes more optimal positions to transfer power through the entire body, which resulted in more efficient acceleration. Thinking of an athlete as a rolling wheel demonstrates that applying force through the center of mass is essential for running faster. The point on a perfect rolling wheel touches down directly beneath the center of mass, coming to a complete stop for an instant during contact. The contact point is always at rest, regardless of how fast the wheel is rolling. This occurs because the translational and rotational speeds are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, effectively canceling each other out. Just as the point on a wheel moves downward along a curved path, Sha'carri Richardson's foot follows a similar trajectory. It moves simultaneously downward and backward, landing directly beneath her center of mass and coming to a complete stop for several hundredths of a second before bouncing back up. And this is key. At high speeds, Sha'carri applies force straight downward and bounces back up, just as the point on the wheel moves down and then back up again. However, in practice, the wheel sinks under the weight of the car, making contact with the ground significantly in front of the center of mass. This premature contact causes the wheel to become an obstacle in its own way, creating a consistent stopping force, especially if the tire is studded. Therefore, a car with underinflated or studded tires goes slower and consumes more fuel. Similarly, while spikes help with initial acceleration, they actually slow athletes down at higher speeds. Tests conducted by the A6 Institute of Sports Science confirmed this, showing that runners using pinless spike technology run the 100 meters up to 0.05 of a second faster. To go faster, both cars and sprinters require less friction and more downward force to increase traction. In this light, toe spikes are the most useless and serve no purpose other than to make athletes stumble. For example, Usain Bolt, weighing 94 kilograms, generated around 500 kilograms of downward force to push against the ground during his world record-breaking run. Cheetahs, with an average weight of 70 kilograms, can produce 5 times more downward force than the fastest human. So it is downward force that creates speed, not force in any other direction. However, most sprinters tend to overexert themselves in the final 20 to 30 meters of a race. Rather than generating powerful torque to push forcefully downward and increase speed, they end up pushing backward against the ground. As a result, the push-off leg swings behind them like a rock from a slipping wheel, and the foot moves forward before dropping to the ground far ahead of the center of mass, creating a substantial stopping force. Almost no one intends to hit the ground with precision in the latter stages of the race, indicating that race execution is their last priority. Although this technique is inherently inefficient, it is so prevalent that it has become accepted as the standard. Yet statistics show that it is very detrimental to performance. For instance, Grant Holloway clears the last hurdle ahead of world record pace almost in every race, sometimes by more than 1/10 of a second. Unfortunately, his tendency to muscle to the finish line, jerking or jumping rather than maintaining form and precision, has already cost him a gold medal in Tokyo. By contrast, landing precisely under the center of mass allows Sha'carri Richardson to transfer more energy into each stride. Forward motion is generated by the swing of the opposite leg rather than from a backward push. This is similar to how a wheel functions. While the point of contact with the ground is at rest, the point on top moves at double speed due to the combined effects of rotational and translational speeds moving in the same direction, forcing the wheel to roll. When the foot stops abruptly during ground contact, the upper body continues to move forward to produce rotation. While many sprinters attempt to counterbalance this with various awkward adjustments, Sha'carri keeps her body upright and steps over the knee of her support leg. This technique helps her maintain rotational momentum without falling and bring her foot into a power position, generating monster torque and landing as close to her center of mass as possible. So she literally rolls from one foot to the other. And that's why Sha'carri Richardson runs so effortlessly. Because rolling is obviously easier than pushing. Over-pushing always requires hard effort, accompanied by a grimace, regardless of the distance. Noah Lyles has also addressed this concept in his video, which has predictably elevated world sprinting to a new level this year.
With the potential to significantly elevate the overall level of world-class sprinting.
After we get to 30 to 40, that 40-meter mark, now let's run. Now I'm only worrying about picking my feet up, forcing them to the ground, and the force that I put to the ground is going to spring my knee back up, as long as I keep good positions. Good positions is very key. Finally, you're going to reach 90 meters, and this is where people throw everything they have out the window. They let go of form, they forget what their coach tells them when the race started, they forget what their training was about, but this is when you can be the most deadly. Because while they're all dying, you're going to say to yourself, all I got to do is exactly what I've been doing. You don't got to change nothing else. Just do exactly what you've been doing the whole race.
Suddenly, several top sprinters have stopped over-pushing and leaning for the finish line. Instead, they roll down the track throughout the race, maintaining perfect form as befits elite professionals. Let's not forget that among athletes with comparable skills, the one who can handle pressure the best is the one who wins.